And I was supposed to be good in science. I really wasn't all that good in science. What I really was drawn to at Rutgers was art, literature, and music. What light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon, for she is already sick and pale with grief. Now, why do I remember that after 55 years? It meant something. It's not just words, it's the idea of the words. And it wasn't clear to me at the time how much that would impact my life and my education, because it taught me how to think. It taught me the principles of what we have today in medicine of do good, do no harm. I think I was in the third grade, which would make me 8 years old, something like that. My appendix was removed around that time. Had some pain and so forth. That wasn't what I was thinking about. I was thinking about, wow, this is really cool here. I like what people are doing here. They're helping people. It was something that I never wavered from. I've always wanted to do that. I never said, oh, I'm going to do one thing or another. It was always that I was going to be a physician, and in particular a surgeon, and in particular a heart surgeon. I was a great fencer, and I actually had a scholarship to Rutgers for fencing. I enjoyed the idea of being a scholar athlete. More than that, we were Rutgers scholar athletes, and that meant even more to me. Mason Gross, who was the president at that time, had a course, the philosophy of art, and it just opened my mind up. He was so riveting in his discussion. And the idea of understanding how creativity took place, the creative mind. Yes, it's true in physics and biology, clearly, but this was creating out of nothing, creating out of an idea. And that served me well because I was able to do things like that and create new operations, new styles of operations, perfecting operations. Every time a child dies is a low point, but one remembers every one just about, and you could say, well, how do you know what it feels like? Well, my wife and I had a child with a congenital defect as the lung. She went through the operation and so forth, and she eventually died from it. But every time you have to walk down that hallway to tell a family that the child didn't survive is a monumental, difficult thing to do. And it stays with you. His heart was filled with bacteria, part of the heart. He had a tube going from his right ventricle to his pulmonary artery, and that was filled with bacteria that were organized into vegetations, if you will. They were showering off bacteria that were basically killing him. And I knew that he was not doing very well. And I talked to him and I said, now, Jack, I think you're going to be okay. And I'm going to take good care of you. And I said, remember, we're pals, and pals stick together. And I said, now you make that sign. And he did.
It's hard to explain. Like I said, he was really, really sick. He was actively dying. I knew that. Because when he went into surgery, I guess, everybody, there's a chance you could not come back. But I think at the time I didn't realize that.
I operated on him. I took out that piece of his heart. And then there was another piece of vegetations that were in another part of his heart. And if I take that out, it would have been a very difficult thing to repair if I got into his aortic valve. And after we took the breathing tube out of him, and he had tubes all over his body, and I went over to the bedside and I said, Jack, and he raised his hands and he did this.
About a day or two after the operation, I remember him saying, I think I'm going to live.
When I look back at my career, I see the courage of our patients, or my patients. I also see the courage of the parents. they're the ones who have to shepherd this through. And the children have to be brave enough to go to the operating room, lay down, be anesthetized, and go through the operation and wake up with pain. Now, if that doesn't take an extraordinary amount of courage and bravery, I don't know what. I think that once you've attained these talents and then you know that you do well 98% of the time, you know that you have more to give. That's what keeps you going. Being inducted into the Rutgers Hall of Distinguished Alumni is one of the great honors of my life, really. I mean, it brings about, coming back to the place where it all started, at Rutgers College. It all started there. And I'm so proud of having gone to school there and actually overjoyed about being admitted and being inducted into the Hall of Distinguished Alumni.